Recording. Hello, my friends, and welcome back to the Lost Art Project Veterans Voices. I'm your host, Andrew Cox, and today we're continuing a veteran story, John Crouch, Marine veteran. But before we get into the episode, are you enjoying these podcasts? Make sure you hit up the website. That's the Lost Art Project, veteransvoices.org. Go check us out, see what we're all about. We are a new nonprofit, so if there's any way you can help us, it'd be much appreciated. Big shout out to the Till Valhalla Project out there doing amazing things. If you don't know anything about them, go check them out. Even if you do, go back and check them out again. I'm telling you, an amazing organization. I say it every single time, but you can find them at tillvalhallaproject.com. Are you a Marine veteran? Are you missing that bond you had on active duty? Then I have a place for you. Join the only congressionally chartered Marine Corps Veteran Service Organization, the Marine Corps League. Get that brother and sisterhood back in your life. Become one of the fewer, the prouder, a Marine Corps League member. Well, we're back here with John. John, how you doing, man?
Doing all right. I'm pumped. I'm ready to go.
I'm excited. You know, this is like, well, I think this is part 5, if I'm not mistaken.
Something like that.
Yeah, it's getting up there. But I got to be honest, man, these stories are incredible. So I appreciate you. Thanks for telling them.
I appreciate you too, man. So first of all, we're going to stop the forward motion of this train. We're going to go back about 6-8 months. There's a couple of things that happened at Drill Instructor School that I forgot to share.
Okay, yeah.
I've got more stories than I have written down in my list of stories that I'm putting in my book that I'm writing. But getting back to Drill Instructor School, toward the very end, you have a psychological eval that's conducted by a shrink or a psychologist. You know, who cares if they're offended by the word shrink? So they're really smart on how they did this.
Get offended by that? I didn't know that.
What now?
I didn't know they got offended by shrink.
Oh, I'm just thinking about today's world. Every word offends every other soul in this world. I swear.
Yeah. And, good point.
Yeah, good point. So they at the time that I went through, it was still a 2-month school. It's been a 3-month school since about 1996 or thereabouts, I believe. And so I went through Drill Instructor School. 1-87 was the class number. And I did not know it was part of the schedule, but eventually I discovered that we were going to talk to a psychologist. Now, they put the psychologist at the very end.
Okay.
You've made it through all the hard stuff. And so this is the time to find out, who is really not fit for being in charge with that much authority, or two, just still wants out of the orders. But they can feel good that they passed DI school, but they were found mentally unqualified. So they go back to their old unit and they go, "Hey, not my fault, man. They felt that I was too crazy and told me I can't have that much authority unsupervised." Right. So going there and you remember your experience, right?
Oh,
questions? Yeah. They ask questions like, so it's one-on-one. No one else can hear what you guys are talking about, but he asked everyone the same questions, I'm sure. And he said, "So you want to be a drill instructor, do you?" I said, "Yes, I do. I've wanted to be one for many years and volunteered, where most of the students in this class did not." And he said, "Well, I'm going to give some scenarios. I'm curious how you expect to respond to them. Suppose that while yelling at a recruit, he chooses to spit on you. Ooh. What are you going to do?" And I lied. Like all successful drill instructors, I lied. I told him, I like to think that I'm professional enough, just like a law enforcement officer is professional enough, not to commit assault and battery on a civilian because they called him, some defamatory name or spit on him. And so he took that with a grain of salt. And he says, how about if a recruit pushes you or hits you, slugs you? What are you going to do then? I says, I assure you, I will defend myself. I'm not going to provoke a fight. However, I will defend myself. If I'm struck, automatic response. Hopefully, my natural instincts kicked in from years of boxing and whatnot to parry his punch so he can't connect and continue the assault until I realize I'm assaulting the recruit and hold him until I get him calmed down.
Yeah.
Remember, I'm 5 pounds heavier than Barney Fife from the TV show Mayberry RFD. I weighed 140 pounds at this time, and I dropped down to about 135, 137 9 months later as a drill instructor. But somehow I convinced him that I passed.
Nice.
And so I got through that little hurdle. How was your experience lying to the psychologist?
It wasn't all crazy or anything for me. I mean, I went in and they asked a couple of questions. I answered them as truthfully as I could. And he was like, okay, thanks. There wasn't much to it when I went through.
I will say this, my first platoon I got put in, platoon 1026, somewhere along the lines, we had a replacement first sergeant. He had a formation of us drill instructors. I'm going to tell you this right now. When the depot inspectors, and for those who don't know what a depot inspector is, it's 2 Marines, rank of gunnery sergeant, and they work as a pair, and they are the enforcers of the SOP. Enforcers that they simply observe, get involved to prevent injury or more serious violations, and report you to the chain of command. And your chain of command determines how they're going to handle it. But where's I going with that? Oh, darn, John.
So you had said that somebody had told you if the depot inspector comes by or something.
Oh yeah, so First Sergeant Fiallo. Yeah. His name can be out there because he earned it. He said it. He should own it. He said, if any recruit attacks you, assault you, I expect you. In fact, I require you not to fight back. You are to yell for help. Now, whether that help comes from drill instructors or other recruits, but to stop the assault that's happening. And us drill instructors like, well, at least we know where he stands, because none of us could fathom a world where a recruit is going to start an assault on us and we're going to yell for help. You got to be kidding me. You have to own that territory. You can't give it up. It can be taken from you possibly by somebody who just gets the better of you. But the moment you start screaming and yelling for help, your days of controlling and running that platoon are over.
Yeah.
And, so
I agree with that.
During his tenure, I don't recall ever an incident where such an event occurred. Now, I did have a recruit one time, and it may have been my first or second tour. I'm out there in the center of the squad bay giving instructions. The recruits are all at position of attention on line in uniform. And all of a sudden, I hear this feeble yell. Again, like Barney Fife, Don Knotts, the character. And I turn and I look, and it's Recruit Weber. Recruit Weber rolled in, came from another platoon. For whatever reason, he got taken from that platoon. Maybe it was physical conditioning platoon, medical rehabilitation platoon, trial training. I don't remember. But he's now in my platoon, in his first phase. And he starts running at like a slow sprint. And he leaps over a footlocker, and he's now entered the drill instructor zone. So I thought, that stupid shit is going to attack me. So I spin 180. I drop my right foot back because I'm right-handed. I strike a boxer's pose because I did a lot of boxing. And all of a sudden, like the Roadrunner and Wile E. Coyote puts on the brakes and stops about 6 feet in front of me. And I said, I'm looking at it. I says, were you going to attack me? He said, sir, Recruit Weber requests permission to return to his place on line, sir. Were you going to attack me? Sir, this recruit had a moment of stupidity. I said, let's make sure we get it out. Get on the quarterdeck and take off your blouse and empty your pockets and unblouse your trousers now. because I had PT the snot out of him just to make sure he had no hate left in his heart. And
PT the hate out of him.
I'm glad I wasn't one of the monsters in the platoons that I've had, these 6-foot giants. You gotta be kidding me. I had no problem boxing. I doubt that I talked at the first episode of growing up, but I got in a lot of fights because I had that face that says punch me, right? And and number two, I was always changing schools, and Dad kept relocating. So what do? You fight the new kid. And then especially if he has a face that says punch me. And so Dad's attitude in life was, don't ever start a fight, but you will finish a fight. And don't go looking for trouble. But if they start to put you in that position, you take them on. And so I went with the mantra, none of this, meet you after school. No, we fight right there on the spot, right?
Yeah.
We get violent, we get angry. So I fought every year that I can remember, going back to at least the third grade.
Wow.
And, so I had that likable face.
Yeah. I like what you said a second ago. You said a punchable face. Yes. I think I have a punchable face.
Yes. So a buddy of mine in my senior year in high school, Charles Allen, he was the state heavyweight Golden Gloves boxing champ. And a small rural town called Canton, Illinois, outside of Peoria and Pekin. And somehow we got on the subject of his boxing. And I said, when's your next fight? And he told me like a couple of weeks down the road. And he says, it's so hard to be good in the ring when nobody will get in the ring with you. I said, shit, Charles, I'll get in the ring with you. And he's a heavyweight. He probably weighed about somewhere around 185, 190, 6 foot. Me, 5. I'm still growing, 5'7". I hadn't made it to 5'7 3/4 yet, but I topped out. But I still was 5'7". At that time, probably 135, 140 pounds. I'd get in the ring with you. So I go down there and put on boxing gloves. Now, Dad had bought us boxing gloves years ago and had my brother and I wail on each other all the time. Yeah. And so that we became comfortable. And in fact, I remember when I was probably 11 years old, maybe 12, I came home beat up on the face, that punchable face. He says, what the hell happened to you? I says, I got in a fight with 2 kids. 2 kids at the same time? He said, yes. I said, yes. And he says, who are they? Where do they live? I'm thinking to myself, man, I just fought 2 kids. I don't want to go back there, right? Yeah. Dad demanded that I go there because that's just how Dad was, born in 1937 of a different generation. Yeah. Then us hippie flower children of 1960 and later. And he said, he put me in the car. He says, what house? Where are they at? So there's a couple of blocks down. He says, come on, get out of the car. I'm thinking to myself, damn, I'm still exhausted and winded, from fighting these 2 kids. So I'm now standing in the middle of this kid's yard. Dad walks up to the porch, hits rapidly and violently on the screen door, and some lady answers the door, but she's standing back a bit. She's upset that he looks angry. And why is this stranger that I don't know here? He said, your 2 boys just beat up on my son at the same time. My son has no problem fighting your boys one at a time. So bring your boys out here, and he's going to fight them one-on-one. Oh, God. All of a sudden, I became religious. I'm thinking in my head, please, God, intervene. I don't want to have another fight with either one of them. And so she never let her boys out. Those boys learned that I got a crazy dad. And yeah. That's pretty good. My first memory of Dad being potentially aggressive, I was probably 6 years old at the time. Yeah. Me and my brother were in the car, and a car of 2 kids that, I say kids, they're probably young men, like 20 years old, were driving erratically or whatever, but it pissed off Dad. Yeah. They came up to a stoplight. Dad parked right behind him, got out of his car, came running up, grabbed the door handle of the driver. He said, try and rip him out of the car. Because he told me, he says, do not come out of this car for any reason, boys. And he said, lock the doors. And he was trying to get that door open. He ran to the other side, and they went ahead and blew through the red light. Wow. I remember watching him back in 68 when I was 8 years old, 68, 69, working on a 57 Chevy that he owned. And somebody had done something that pissed him off, and he went chasing that vehicle down the street, trying to latch onto the bumper. So
that gives a new meaning to road rage.
Yes. So he was the neighborhood mayor who wanted to enforce all rules and regulations. And his heart was in the right place. I mean, I've seen him on the golf course where he'd challenge, much younger men, and because of their disrespect to the rules of golf.
Yeah, you don't do that. Not golf.
Not at all. But back to recruit training. So lucky for me, I never had to deal with that issue of other than Recruit Weber trying to attack me. But so in DI school, we had a period of instruction that was probably maybe 7 days, training days left before we graduated. And it was the depot inspector himself.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. And Lieutenant, at that time, he was a Major Stanley, Clifford Stanley. And he had been the depot inspector for about a little over a year.
Okay.
He gave a horror story of what life's going to be like for us drill instructors out there. He says, we have trends. We look for anomalies that are outside those patterns. And we know that we can expect that a depot inspectors will come across X amount of violations of the SOP on a daily basis on their shift.
Wow.
And when they turn in the report, you better see that level of documentation. And if all of a sudden we see that there's a new depot inspector and they're not turning in that type of capture of information, that tells me either A, they lack attention to detail and knowledge of the SOP, of which will affect their promotability because they're going to get an adverse fitness report.
Dang.
Or that they're in cahoots, that for whatever reason, they want to be the good guy and let some drill instructor off the hook and not report them. Well, someone's going to get held accountable for what was happening. So either the drill instructor who did something wrong will become held accountable, and you simply did your job of reporting what you observed, or two, you're going to be held accountable on their behalf because you're covering for them. But either way, I'm going to get my pound of flesh. And of course, when he's speaking, he's got great intensity like a drill instructor and slamming his fist. And at one of those hand slamming events, his metal band wristband snapped apart and his watch went flying to the ground with great force and intensity. Yeah. And I thought to myself, there is no way in hell I want to be in his battalion, because at the end of his speech, he said, I will be transferring to, and I heard, 3rd Battalion. And
oh no.
Now I just put on my dream sheet the day prior, where do you want to go? I put, didn't matter to me. Yeah. I didn't have any loyalty to Paris Island because I was a San Diego recruit. So I put 3rd Battalion. Yeah. Why? Because it's a bit further away than the other 2 battalions from the head shed and the rain. Right. And so I thought, hey, maybe there's fewer visitors. So that was my reasoning. And they had a reputation called Thumping Third. And, Thumping as far as
both sides have some of that reputation.
Yeah, they do. Where did you go to boot camp?
I did San Diego.
San Diego? Yeah, that's right. You said 2nd Battalion, didn't you?
Well, when I was a drill instructor, I was 2nd Battalion. So as a recruit, I was 1st Battalion Bravo Company.
Oh, okay, cool. And so I after that period of instruction, we were on a 10-minute head call break. I went on my squad instructor's office, and he said, enter. And it really wasn't my assigned squad instructor. Ours basically gave up on us because of his broken leg. So Gunner Sergeant Wiggins says, what do you want? He says, I need to change the battalion on my dream sheet. He says, why? I said, because Major Stanley is getting promoted and he's going there. So I just listened to his speech as a depot inspector. I don't want to be anywhere near him. So my honesty got me somewhere. And next thing you know, it got changed. Now, either Stanley lied to us intentionally, or something got moved and changed, or I wasn't paying attention. I go to check in, and I find out Lieutenant Colonel Stanley is now the 1st Battalion commanding officer. And I got orders, and I checked in. And I thought, you got to be freaking kidding me. Because in DI school, before I knew he was a depot inspector, after I knew he was a depot inspector, it was like 2 days later, and we were doing that shadow, a drill instructor platoon. So you get embedded, so you can get that taste and experience of being around recruits and whatnot. So I was supposed to be in the squad bay. The day prior, I got assigned to this platoon, 1st Battalion, and Sergeant Peebles was his name, as I recall, and he was running the platoon. And I forgot who the other 2 drill instructors were, and they told me all about the depot inspectors. And it's just like learning the signs at a softball game when they point to their eye or do all these other things. It means you're always watching, always looking, always informing. We're protecting each other, the brotherhood, the whole work. So I'm being corrupted before I've even got my campaign hat. I'm still wearing a soft cover. And so the following morning is Reveille.
Yeah.
And I discovered the lieutenant colonel out there, and he went. So instantly the lights all of a sudden came on. He's hiding behind a stanchion, and he's screaming. And one of the drill instructors is screaming and yelling, "Get up, Galarac, get online now." We're at the rifle range, so about week 5 or 6. Yeah. And so somehow I got physically to him. I said, "Depot inspector on deck." And it calmed him down a bit. We come back from chow. He decides that he's going to tag on to our platoon, the same depot inspector. So I see him back there trying to tag on. He puts his fingers to his lips and thinking that a DI school student is going to be a good Marine and be quiet.
Yeah.
Once again, I said, "Depot inspector followed you in the squad bay," as I walked past him. And so it calmed him down from being stupid. Oh, man, it was stressful being under Colonel Stanley's rule for probably the 9 months that he was there. And very stressful. I remember one day he walks up to me. He can barely talk. He just came from the dentist. It was behind the chapel at Pierce Island. And I believe that that's right. He drove his vehicle, probably a Corvette, as I recall. He got out, and I seen him walking up toward me. Well, I had taken the a bag, something that the recruits had, and I grabbed it, I threw it on the freaking deck. I started screaming and yelling at the recruit for something. And he walked up to me, and I, of course, saluted, gave my name, platoon number, and battalion, all that information, the proper report. And he said to me, he says, "Come here." So we walked, not really out of earsight, of hearing of the recruits, but he said, I'm not even sure I know who you are. I said, "I'm Sergeant Crouch, 1st Battalion Bravo Company, platoon 1050. And he says, "So you're mine." He said, "What I know is this, Sergeant Crouch." He said, "I see a drill instructor out of control. I see a drill instructor grab something that belongs to a recruit and throw it on the ground violently, and is now in his face yelling and screaming." And I told him what the recruit had done wrong, whatever it was. And I said, "Sir," I said, "the effectiveness of being a quality drill instructor is not truly being that angry. It's being like an actor where you can convey those emotions with sincere believability. You're convinced," and I was effective at it, at making everyone think that I was out of control. I was raging, and who knew how this was going to escalate? That's what I hope for. I said, I don't come out here to try to give this high school teacher approach to mentoring and developing tomorrow's students. And he said something like, "I'll be watching you," or something like that. And then I found out he really had an expectation of no adherence to the close order drill manual. We're taught that you render a salute to the national flag or to an officer between 6 and 30 paces.
Mm-hmm.
I knew the distance we were at was at least 60 something. And all of a sudden, I see him down there. I don't acknowledge him. He's out of my zone of danger. He's beyond 30 paces. He yells, "Come here, Sergeant Crouch." I halt the platoon. I start counting each pace. I knew that's what it was going to be about. I'd been hearing this reputation. You better salute him at 100 yards, And so I counted my paces coming up to him, saluted. He says, "Oh, nice of you to salute me," or something like that. I said, "Sir, I counted the paces to get here, and it was like 64 paces or whatever." He says, "Your job." I know what the drill manual says. Your job is to set an example for these recruits that's indelible, and that is they respect officers and they acknowledge the presence of officers. Aye, sir. So I got a waiver. I could violate a written order or regulation, which is Article 92 of the UCMJ.
That's true. Yeah,
to violate the salute section of the drill manual.
Oh man, that's funny.
So yeah, it was miserable. A lot of drill instructors and it had their career ended on his interpretation of accountability and whatnot.
Wow. My favorite thing to do with saluting was if I was marching my platoon and I saw an officer coming like down the recruit highway or something, I would stop the platoon and then I'd break them off into groups and have them march themselves. So the officer's going down. He's like, "Oh, yeah," to salute every group that came by. I mean, I'd be down at the end just cracking up laughing. He'd finally get to me. He'd be like, "What the hell?" I'm like, "I don't know. It was just funny. I thought it'd be good." So that was always my fun thing to do.
Ever have any Mustang officers as a series commander?
Not as a series commander. I didn't. There was a Mustang officer he was the company commander, but he did never come around. Yeah, I mean, he was always hiding out in his office, I guess. I don't know.
If he doesn't see it, he doesn't have to take it on and deal with it.
Yeah.
So I get to the end of the training of my 3rd platoon. I'm told that Captain Harley calls for me. We're at A-line, which is during the BWT training phase. Obviously, San Diego and Paris are different because of the logistics. Mm-hmm. So we would do that part of training around training day 48 or so. And I got called down to speak to Captain Harley, my friend. You'd think he's my friend because of all the time we spend together having one-way conversations. I acknowledge the conversations by "Yes, sir," "Aye, sir," "Yes, sir." But that's about the depth of my contribution to these conversations.
Good conversationalist you are, yeah.
Yes, I've improved over the years. I can put more meat behind the story. He said, "Sergeant Crouch," he said, not all drill instructors, but many drill instructors at Paris Island and San Diego have to go on quota. Now, for our listeners, that means you have to do a job not directly as a drill instructor. They want drill instructors to do jobs that are not training platoons, but you're training all recruits. It could be academics. It could be a swim instructor like, AJ.
That's right.
AJ Cox, swim instructor, teaching recruits how to survive the water. It could be medical rehabilitation platoon. Mm-hmm. It could be pork chop platoon, physical conditioning platoon, to take fat bodies and make them strong and lean. And it can be a casual company to take those being discharged and give them a low stress exit. And finally, you've got receiving barracks where they arrive as real long-haired, hairy civilians who have body odor and breath issues. And we're going to somehow clean them up into a Marine recruit. He said, "Not to send you and Sergeant Coker, one of you to receiving barracks and one of you to close combat hitting skills branch." I said, "Well, sir, I did a lot of boxing. I'd love to be on the martial arts, love the next square team." He says, "No, Sergeant Crouch, I'm going to send Sergeant Coker there. Sir, this is right up my alley. I mean, I've always had a passion to be part of that group. And again, I've done an awful lot of boxing. And he says, no, I need you where I can best use you in the Marine Corps. You're going to go to receiving because you have tremendous patience. What a lie. I did not know Captain Hawley would lie, but he lied, because I am telling you, anyone who thought that I had patience is a liar. And,
That's pretty good.
So now I'm at receiving barracks. I thought, you got to be freaking kidding me. My only example I ever knew was the experience that I had, and it wasn't impressive at all. And I had maybe a 10-day receiving, because I went there at New Year's Eve time frame. I got there on the evening of the 27th of December. And so drill instructors are enjoying time off, and I'm enjoying time in the barracks as a recruit. So I'm now going through this process, and it's a brand new barracks. It just got built a year earlier, I believe. And it's nice, beautiful, modern brick building, air conditioning, really nice, big squad bay. And the drill instructor office had a big glass window, like a corrections facility. And it had a microphone system. My first thought was, I'm a Marine drill instructor. I don't use microphones, right?
Yeah.
So the drill instructor teaching me, he says, oh, trust me, you'll want to use the microphone. He says, I'm going to prove it to you. So I'm going to give commands from here, and you're going to be out there with them enforcing what I just said. So these nasty civilians, with what little they brought with them, were issued a huge brown paper bag. And they were told to strip down and take all their nasty civilian clothes, socks, underwear, everything, and put it in this bag. When they got down to their underwear and their socks, the odor of 75, 80 recruits who did not bathe or wipe their butt was just horrendous, and didn't practice dental hygiene. And so I wanted to gag from the odor. I thought, oh my God. And the only other time I've smelled stench like that is when I've gone to city jails, but not as an inmate. I went there for other reasons. And so all city jails seem to smell the same.
Yeah.
Bacteria, mold, and body odor. But I became very comfortable giving my commands from there for that particular point of evolution until I got them showered. Then, and only then, would I be in the squad bay with them nasty pigs. So I thought to myself, well, I'm going to maximize my time here as a drill instructor, and I'm going to teach them as much as humanly possible so that I get better, because with practice comes perfection.
Yeah.
And I was going to be here 6 to 7 months. I knew that much. And every week, it's actually every other week, 1 week on, 1 week off, week on, 1 week off. But you're the only drill instructor that they have. So that's a whole different mix. When you have a regular DI team training recruits, you have handoff time. Someone's talking to them, but it ain't you. Someone's keeping them busy, but it's not always you. When you're the only person that they have from reveille to taps, that's a different story.
Yeah, it is.
So, and I can't remember if I stayed in the squad bay every single night. I just don't remember. It's too far back. Mm-hmm. But it's possible I may have had to stay there every night that they were in receiving, and then have the week off to chill out and do what I want. So I knew what I was doing as a drill instructor. I mean, all the stupid tasks that waste time that could be spent doing closer to drill or something else of value. So I had all of their gear marked for them already. And I used to take a Brasso can and draw a circle around, and then you put the laundry number in there, taking the marker of indelible ink and put a name together on a stamp and teach them how to make it without making railroad tracks, or which are additional ink outside the letters. And I had everything marked that would ever have to get marked. I had their belts all washed and soaked so they get some shrinkage. And then I trimmed them down to 6 inches, because they start off with a 54-inch belt. Most of them have a 30-inch waist.
Right.
So I get them damn things trimmed down. I got the quartermaster broke off of the brass, which is quartermaster, is a spray-on varnish so it doesn't tarnish. But that doesn't have the luster that we expect as Marines. So therefore, you have to remove the spray-on varnish called quartermaster, and then you polish the brass to create that brilliant shine. And there's two ways to do that. Chemicals, which is easy, or the hard way, creating damage to your fingerprint on your thumb and your forefinger, and holding Brasso or brass, either Brasso on a liquid Brasso on a rag, or Brasso wads or Neverdol wads, and you're pushing and creating heat and friction, and that would break down the coating until you get to the brass, and then you create that huge luster. Well, imagine the pain of trying to shine your brass for 4 hours nonstop, violently.
Yeah.
Your biceps are burning. You're exhausted. You've got sweat profusely coming down your head. You're creating stressful moments. You give them, 10-minute intervals to see for progress. And then I, have them all put their brass down, take their blankets, go outside and pop the blankets, right? And which they say you can't PT recruits in receiving. Well, there's other ways to increase the cardio and the calorie burn and the muscle fatigue. And I did that, and I'd move the racks from one side of the squad bay to the other, clean the deck, move them to the other side, clean the deck, put them back where they belong, and do all kinds of physically demanding tasks until they were loud enough, they were fast enough, and they did it correct. And I got my way. Well, their brass looked like it was ready for a battalion commander's inspection in third phase, right?
Yeah.
I got their knowledge copied down. All drill instructors had all the knowledge that they're going to get tested on in first phase academics. So I had them write the questions down and what the appropriate answer was. So they had in their Spyro Gyro, which is a notebook, they had pages and pages of information they had to memorize. And I had them memorize that stuff constantly. And then I'd have them take tests. And then I'd put those test results on a grid chart. And so by the time I would drop them off, if it was like a 4-day receiving, they may have taken one test, maybe two if they're lucky, but they already had an idea where the idiots were and where the good people were. And I matched them up. So idiots with the smartest, and then I created that peer pressure. And
wow.
So they were very lucky. I taught us all the close order drill you can do without a weapon.
Wow.
When I had a platoon that was there for 7 to 10 days, man, they were coming down the street like they were in week 4 of recruit training.
No kidding.
And I was the only drill instructor. And I told the other drill instructors, I said, listen, you all may enjoy this. We don't do nothing here at receiving, but be babysitters. I said, I'm training. So you can take all the working parties you want. Leave my damn platoon alone. Don't ask me to give up any recruits to go work at supply across the street or to go work over there. Their job from wherever the taps is to be a recruit in training. And so I was hooking them up. And these drill instructor teams, well, shortly after I got there, probably my, if I graduated them, it was only a couple of weeks. And now I'm putting together a company for my old company because they're ready to pick up again. But the timing was going to end up being 3, 6, 9. So it was because of Thanksgiving, it got extended. So I had a long receiving. So I told the senior drill instructor at receiving, I said, listen, I know you typically give the speech getting on the bus. I want to give the speech for all the platoons tonight. I want to hook up a drill instructor that mentored and trained me for 2 platoons, my first and my third platoon, Sergeant Michael Kenneth. And he's going to be the senior drill instructor. And I know exactly what he wants, and I'm going to give it to him. He says, all right. But before you can get on that bus to give that speech, you got to give that speech to me. It has to be verbatim. You cannot make any mistakes because if you make mistakes, you're not getting on that damn bus. So I said, what's the speech, right? I never knew what the speech was. They showed me the speech, right? So it wasn't the same day. It was like the next day or two. I was working this in advance. So I gave the speech. And I remember it starts off like this. You'd walk on the bus and you'd sit there and says, on behalf of the commanding general of Marine Corps Recruit Depot, Parris Island, and Eastern Recruiting Branch, Brigadier General Hoar, Hoar. Welcome to Paris Island. While you were here, and I don't remember the rest of it now, but I knew it at that time because I used to give the speech all the time thereafter, but I never gave it the way it was supposed to be. So when I went on that bus where he wasn't going to be there, the senior drill instructor, to hear me, I got on that bus. I says, "Set straight, get your eyes on me. When I give the command, you're going to get off my bus. You're going to take all that civilian trash with you. You're going to get off my bus, fly out there, find a yellow footprint, and you go to the end of that formation, and you will stand on those yellow footprints. There will not be any missing footprints on any footprint of yellow. And the only thing that will be not stepped on is what's behind you. And if you're the last recruit, that means it's acceptable. There will be nothing in front of you that is vacant. Get off my bus!" And start screaming and yell at them. And nothing about, they didn't know who the Brigadier General was. They didn't know nothing about welcome to Paris Island. And
well, they wouldn't have known anyways, other than somebody said a name and they don't know what's happening. They have no clue.
But they didn't get that professional welcome aboard. I guess they didn't want us freelancing and saying, "Get the fuck off my bus." And if a profane word escaped my lips, well, forgive me. So got him inside. So that night, I worked my ass off. I was filtering these dummies. And although I was only 26 years old, 27, I just turned 27 that year. So although I'm an intelligent 27-year-old who did stay at a Holiday Inn once or twice, I knew how to find and filter out quality from scum. So when I was giving instructions, whoever failed to follow instructions, I somehow identified them and said, put a cover on your head, put it on backwards, right? So now they got the cover on their head backwards or whatever it was. I had them somehow identify themselves as another idiot. And so when we were doing bucket issue, I get the command, grab your scrub brush, hold it in your right hand over your head, ready, move. And so and someone who had it in the wrong hand, I wasn't picking them. And so who could follow the intensity, the speed, and I kept narrowing this group down. So I put them in a special room, and then I'd get the next bus off get the next bus load off the bus and go through that process. And I kept doing this until I started filtering people into a room. And of course, the senior director says, "What the hell are you doing with those in that room?" I says, "This is the quality DNA. And from there, we're going to thin it out until we get down to whatever we have to. Is it 72? Is it 75 tonight?" Maybe he said 72. Until we get to 72, that's where the quality DNA is, until I can figure out who doesn't belong in that group. And so if they had a body physique that was horrendous, oh, we don't want that person on our team, right? Yeah. They were with the others. So if you ever saw the movie Twins with Danny DeVito and Arnold Schwarzenegger, Arnold got all the quality DNA, and the stuff that was left over in the Petri dish is what they made up for.
Yeah, that's
Danny
right.
DeVito says, "You mean I'm the scum that was left in the Petri dish?" And so I got through this group, but I noticed something. A couple of days later, I'm now picking guide and squad leaders while they're in this long receiving, and I'm doing a hygiene inspection. And so they're only wearing their BVD underwear and bare chested. And I see this kid, he's got 5 brands on his body, and they're all identical. Black kid, short, maybe 5'5". And he's got, like a horseshoe on each shoulder, each thigh, and one in the abdominal, right over his navel, eating up that area. And these brands were huge. I said, "I have no idea what that means. But apparently you understand something called loyalty." I said, "You're going to be my guide." And some black fraternity. And whenever I try to find out what it is, some people know it and they tell me, but then I forget about it. Probably because they'll never take me as a member. Wrong pigmentation. But one or two other of the recruits, I think, also had that brand. But I ended up picking, and I never pick people based on race, ethnicity, nothing of that. I pick people based on potential. Mm-hmm. So I had this intimidating group of 4 squad leaders and a guide. And of them, 4 of them came from the Citadel or VMI. I can't remember which fraternity.
Wow.
I mean, which campus, one or the other. And they had been kicked out for alleged cheating. And so they
Interesting.
didn't finish their bachelor's degree. They got kicked out, but they had that military indoctrination of a couple of years at the Citadel or VMI. And man, I've never seen a better trained platoon by guide and squad leaders in my life. They understood urgency. They had the competence and the professionalism and the intensity of out of control corporals and sergeants. And it was great. Now I felt like it was me and a team of 5 drill instructors were teaching, training these recruits on everything. And you talk about a lockdown platoon, my God. And this is going to the guy who mentored and trained me, Sergeant Kenneth. And so I called him on the phone. I says, be watching. You're going to hear us before you see us, because these hills are hitting the deck hard. And back then it was the black leather boots, which had a hard rubber sole. And when you properly strike the deck with those soles, you can hear them coming down the street.
That's right.
And they had proper arm swing. You have no idea how much it triggers me when I see videos on YouTube or on Facebook of platoons that they have this Chinese foreign adversary arm swing that goes almost parallel the deck in both directions. And what the hell is this crap? And then sometimes you'll see them do an exaggerated left foot stomp and then a right foot. No, both feet hit with the same force and intensity at the same angle. And so I'm kind of disappointed in a lot of stuff I see out there today. I've seen one that everything was good except the freaking Chinese arm swing, where you think it was the Chinese Republic Army, whatever they have. It was just horrendous. I mean, it's 6 inches to the front and 3 inches to the rear.
And that's not very big.
No, it's not. It's a small arc.
Yeah.
It's a 9-inch variance. And that's in relationship to the seam of the trouser. So when your opposite leg goes forward, it'd be 6 inches forward of the opposite leg and 3 inches to the rear of the rear leg on the opposing side. So they come down the street. We're doing close and extend on line while marching. They're doing half step. They're doing the obliques. They're doing flanks. Wow. Oh, yes. Imagine being that far ahead and only one drill instructor teaching them. And so I was practicing 5 hours a day, sometimes 7 hours a day, broken up, of close order drill.
Wow.
So then you see the other amoebas, those other herds coming off the bus, the cattle cars, and I don't remember if they marched over there anymore. That's right, they marched at that time. So they marched over there at route step. They don't know what the hell they're doing. And then here comes this platoon that looks like they're in their 4th week of first phase and just killing it. And so Kenneth did what few others did. So I did 17 platoons at receiving. And I think only 3 or 4 of them took advantage of that head start and maintained it.
Yeah.
What the other drill instructors did was shit hot. We have an easy first phase. We don't have to work. So they let the other platoons catch up to them, and they didn't maintain that lead that they had. And to me, that's just weak drill instructors who didn't want to work and maximize. And that's what I learned from Sergeant Kenneth. You will work harder than the recruits do, because how can they work as hard as you want them to if you're not working hard? And, everything you do has to be at maximum effort at all times. So I always maintain contact to see how they did at initial drill, final drill. Almost all of them, they didn't do anything special. They didn't have this big sweep of winning all the trophies. But if you got a platoon shows up, all your gear is marked, your belts are cut, you know your general orders, you know how to post and recover road guards, you know how to do all the stuff that you waste all of forming to do, and you didn't take advantage of it. My God,
if you got that much of a head start. I mean, there's so much more you can start working on, for the future. You
can be doing stacking arms the first week in recruit training. After you teach them how to get it to port arms. In fact, that's something that I used to do a lot. Was all senior drill instructor offices had this plexiglass over a drill card. And it was all the different movements on a drill card. Well, they'd always teach it in the logical format of learn the basics. You don't do this until you've done that. I lied, and then I was focusing on doing other stuff. So I have a platoon that I have not taught left and right shoulder arms to. But you know what we are doing? We're doing stacking arms.
Yeah.
How the hell did I crush that? Then I had my knowledge grid chart up on the hog board, right? All the recruits, and this is the 4th test that I've given them, and this is where they're scoring at. That was all fictitious. I never gave good information. They didn't know where we were at. So they would change their game plan to try and catch me and at least match me. When meanwhile, they don't know that what's really going on is I still have to teach other movements that I have not even thought about teaching, just so I could appear that we are much farther along than them. And
that's pretty good, though.
Yeah.
Psychological warfare right there.
Didn't teach close and extend online, but I did teach open ranks march for a formation. So you're at normal ranks, you march open, dress right dress. How the hell does he do that? Sling arms, movement, all that kind of stuff. It was great to tease and mess with the other drill instructors who just didn't understand how I could be so far ahead. But so in hindsight, I was glad I got sent to receiving because it gave me a chance to become a much better teacher, and especially with the number of hours that I had to practice so much more ability to perfect the art of being a drill instructor.
Wow. Yeah, that's pretty cool. I like that.
I had a platoon, and I was a green belt drill instructor, and probably platoon 1054 when I came back from receiving. And we were at land navigation course at nighttime. So it's now like 2:00 in the morning, 0200. And we're on the huge abandoned runways at Paris Island that was used during World War II for lighter than air aircraft.
Right.
So that's how we're by full moon marching back to where we set up tents. And you can hear one senior drill instructor up front, and we had the whole series in column. And I was tail end Charlie. And so recruit Honeycutt spoke up because we were simply at route step. And no, as a matter of fact, I was probably reciting knowledge with them because I was constantly pushing knowledge. Five types of 5 types of discharges, whatever. You're just constantly issuing out commands, and they have to recite the verbatim response. So recruit Honeycutt requested permission to speak and says, "What?" He said, "Sir, would drill instructor Sergeant Crouch please sing some motivating cadence?" "Oh, are you speaking for the platoon, Sergeant or Honeycutt?" And there was some moaning and groaning going on because they knew where this is going. Well, Honeycutt was an older kid. He was like 22 years old. He had some college under him, but he did not college degree. And I says, "For you, Honeycutt, I'll do anything. Double time, march, left foot, left foot, left foot." Right. And so when you say left and foot, it is hard on the lungs because when you pronounce those letters, you have to have great force of air coming out of your diaphragm and across your tongue, but you have to use your lips to restrict the outflow. So your breath is forcing air against the lips trying to shut so that it can create a certain sound. And so therefore it's fatiguing. It's kind of like trying to block the exhaust on a Harley. And the engine doesn't want to run that way. So they had, every time I said left foot, they had to say it like 4 times. And then I'd say left foot again. I'd say like, "What foot? Left foot, left foot." They said it 4 times. What foot? And so we went at a decent pace going past the other platoons. I said, "My recruits wanted to sing motivating cadence," to the other drill instructors. They thought it was funny. And of course, we took the long way. We didn't just stop at the destination. We probably ran close to 3 miles without a safety van and got to our destination.
That's good.
2 miles if they were lucky. Who knows? It could have been close to 3. I just know I ran them a long way past the. In fact, that's not what I did. I didn't run past. I went to the end and we circled the series, and then we'd run to the tail end and then we'd circle back to the front. So we
Oh,
just
wow,
ran
yeah.
around the formation while they were marching. We just kept running around them, keeping them motivated.
Yeah, getting to hear some awesome cadence.
Yeah. They asked, I had a platoon one time ask me, sir, and now they're in third phase. They felt a little bit comfortable. They could talk, right? And sir, would the drill instructor get some, allow the recruits to use some bug juice? Well, Parasol's got sand fleas. So they use Skin So Soft product, which is an oil base, and the little chiggers, which are like insects with monstrous pterodactyl teeth. They can't seem to get past the oil that's on your skin to really inflict pain. And, oh, you want some of the drill instructor's bug juice, do you? Yes, sir. Because they'd see other platoons out there putting it on. Just a minute. I went in and got my hygiene kit. I had 2 bottles. We'll be talking about them again. Dragon Breath, which is Listerine and 50% Listerine, 50% Viadent mouthwash. And the other one was Aquavelva. So it was Aquavelva, 50% with rubbing alcohol.
Okay.
And that was in a squirt bottle. So I went and got the squirt bottle of Aquavelva. I came out there and I started soaking them all down. That's going to make the insects want to come near them. Oh, you smell good and sweet. And so that was my idea. I was not a senior drill instructor. Don't ask me to do senior drill instructor type tasks. Why would you think for a moment? I didn't realize there were so many stupid recruits like I was, you know. I used to, many times my platoons at both my first and second tour of 1st Battalion were on the back side of the building, which is right up against the marsh.
Yeah.
And so the distance between the building and the marsh was probably about 15 yards.
Okay.
So it's pretty close. And the SOP says, under no circumstances will a recruit ever enter the marsh.
Right.
Okay? Well, there's a sidewalk between the marsh and the building. And I would have the recruits between the sidewalk and the edge of the marsh. So we come back from evening chow. The sun's starting to go down. And I would have them in the push-up position. And because I'm not supposed to have them do push-ups an hour after chow, right?
Oh,
no exercise after chow.
Yeah. I like what you did there.
Yeah. So what I did was I marched them at a very high rate of speed.
Yeah.
And faster than 120 steps per minute, just to get that exhalation, carbon dioxide going on. And then I'd have them march in place, stomp on the ground for a good minute or so. And I have them sing the Marines hymn while doing it, just get that exhalations out there. And then I drop them into the forward leaning position.
Nice.
And I said, what are we looking for? Military bearing, sir. Where is it found? 6 inches from our nose, sir. Meanwhile, the sand fleas come up and start feasting on their arms, their fingers, their face, nostrils, eyelids, in the ear, around the neck, all exposed skin. They're just chomping and chewing on, just having a feast. I said, who got to eat? We did, sir. Who gets to eat? The sand fleas, sir. So I stand them up after a couple of minutes and put them in the house. And I remember I worked with one drill instructor, senior drill instructor. He had told the recruits, he said, I will give a phone call home for recruits that I see bleeding from deer flies and not flinching, right? You just simply shout, sir. No, I think he had them shout, deer flies, sir. And because they could feel those big teeth just biting into their skin. And I thought, there ain't nobody I want to call that bad. I'm looking at bleeding Madonnas out there, and their arms are trickling blood. I thought, you got to be freaking kidding me.
They need that phone call.
Yeah, you're supposed to cut that umbilical cord when you left, and apparently you didn't. But some tough kids. That was Staff Sergeant King, I believe, that was giving away phone calls. I was not interested in giving away phone calls as a senior. And
funny.
But there's a story called Chigarid. So Chigarid is a product sold over the counter, and it's for chigger bites and insect bites. So you put that on the infections, and of where the insect was biting, or sometimes they penetrate, which is what chiggers do. Chiggers penetrate your skin, and they put feces in there, and that is what becomes irritating and infected. It's like a little tiny blister. It hurts like hell. And so I thought it was kind of funny while we were out in the field in shelter halves to make little pup tents. So it's my first night with the platoon, putting them in the rack. I have not put them in the rack the previous 2 nights. So I'm putting them in the rack. So they're outside their shelter house in camouflage uniform with their M16A2 service rifle. I give the command to count off, and with their weapons out, and they move. I can see the weapon move down as they count their number. And I have all the recruits. I have all the weapons. I'm happy. And then I tell them, secure your rifle in the hooch now. Aye, sir. And they come back out of the hooch without the rifle. And then I have them do a couple other things. I don't remember what the hell it was. And then I'd give the command, just, which means at that point, they can speak in hushed tones to the point that I'd have to strain to hear them. And they can move and do things without having to wait for instructions. They all started scratching and itching their body like maniacs. I thought, they look like a dog pound. I thought, what is with them? Do they have fleas? Now, I've noticed that because I was aviation, I never got to play Johnny Marine, be a grunt, and other than boot camp. And so I thought it was exciting doing night patrols and stuff like that. The infantry drill instructors, they wanted to know nothing to do with that. Like that was their career. That's the last thing I wanted to do is take a squad of recruits out on patrol. I thought it was fun. I took all the damn patrols out there through the forest of Paris Island. But I started noticing, I started itching around the waistband and around the boot bands. And it was getting worse and worse. And I scratched and not realize that maybe this is like poison ivy. And, once you get it on your fingers, it goes other places, right? Well, it ended up being on my balls because, I got to pee and, you're squeezing, making sure everything got out, shaking it off. And actually, now it's starting to look like an example from a textbook for syphilis, right? I got sores on my inner thigh, on my testicles, on the base of my penis, and let alone the waistband and my ankles down there. So I was talking to the other drill instructors, more experienced than me. I says, hey, man, what is this? Look at it and go, oh, man, you got chiggers. What are chiggers? And they told me, right? Son of a bitch. How do you get rid of them? And they gave some advice, and none of it seemed feasible. So I stopped at the Walgreens on the way home that night because I didn't have – that's right. That next day, I went to Walgreens, and I got some. Okay. So the time on deck now at home is probably early morning. That's right. It's early morning because I was getting ready to go into work. Sun ain't come up yet. And so let's say it's 4:30 in the morning. I bought it last night. I was afraid to test it because I grew up in a generation that had something called mercurochrome. Have you ever heard of it?
Oh, yeah. So it's got burns no matter what.
Yeah, it's mercury in this first aid antiseptic, and it would kill any and all bacteria or whatever else is happening and heal you. But first you have to take the pain of that mercury on an open wound. And it was not pleasant. And the other antiseptics that were in there, it was red. But they've outlawed it since in the United States about 30 years ago. And all I could think of is it would hurt like that. And so I'm sitting in the kitchen. Now, when I sit in the kitchen at that house in Beaufort, I'm looking at the sink 10 feet in front of me. If I look to my right, it's the exit door to the porch. And if I look to my left, it's a set of bifold swinging doors that looks down the great room, down the hallway where the family sleeps. Mm-hmm. So they can't see me, but I can see just over the top of it. So I pull down my pants and I get everything at the ready. I look in the refrigerator, plenty of ice. And I got the mercurochrome here, not the mercurochrome. I got the chigger red here. So I go ahead and I paint it on an area that I think is a little tougher I could handle, which is on my thigh.
Yeah.
I go, that wasn't too bad at all, right? Okay. So I went ahead and painted up a couple areas on my nutsack and on my penis on the base of it.
Yeah.
And as soon as I put the bottle down, I grabbed my underwear to pull up to my knees. The burn was intense. I believe the bottle was actually called testicle acid because it felt like it was eating through my testicles. And so I screamed bloody murder. The family woke up, not knowing that I was doing this science experiment on myself. And so I scream as loud as I can because that's just a natural reaction to that kind of testicle burn. And so I go 2 steps to the freezer. I open it up. I grab a handful of ice. And it's that dry ice that's real clingy and sticks to everything.
Oh, geez, yeah.
Put it on there. Now it's hurting because it's like dry ice. And so it's just freezing to the sensitivity of the skin. So now I'm screaming from that. And now I start plucking these ice cubes that have already fused to the hair and the skin. I'm flicking them on the floor. And the family starts coming. I says, stay away. Get away. Don't come in here. And I'm trying to flick these things off and then pull my pants up to regain my dignity and then pick up the ice. And they go, what was going on? I says, I was just in a lot of pain. I don't want to talk about it. And,
I don't want to talk about it.
So now that I know what happens, I got this bottle that I'm never going to use again. Paid good money for it.
Yeah.
I wonder how many other people have chiggers.
It happens. It happens.
So I went to the platoon while they were sitting down eating their chow at lunchtime. I had them put it in my pocket, right? So it must have been a Sunday since I showed up late for an event. And on Sundays, you can't show up as the other drill instructor until half hour before the meal time. And I said, any of you all have chiggers? A lot of hands went up. I go, now pulled out this chigger red. I says, damn, there ain't no way I can do all of you. I said, I didn't realize that there that many people. I got them, so I used it, but I didn't realize everybody else had chiggers. Who has them on delicate areas of their body? There's about 10. My guide was a former corpsman in the Navy.
Okay.
So I says, Corpsman. He says, yes, sir. I says, take this chigger red, take him over there to the tree line, paint them up wherever they've got this sensitivity at from this chiggers. All right, sir. All right. So they're all happy and they're standing over there. Others are probably jealous that they're not in the line.
Yeah.
All of a sudden you hear the first sound of testicle acid going somewhere in a delicate area. And the others want to turn and run away. Says, no, get back in line. Sometimes it hurts to take the good medicine.
Oh, man, that's good.
Yeah. Sergeant, who is it? Gunner Sergeant Marshall was one of the 2 drill instructors at DI school who felt that I wasn't going to make a intense drill instructor. He said, I don't think you're strong enough to be a drill instructor, Sergeant Crouch. I said, well, Gunner Sergeant, I said, if you're judging that based on how you see me interact with my fellow students, I can understand your judgment. I said, but I don't plan to treat Marines like I do recruits. I said, Marines don't deserve to be treated in a forceful manner the way that I intend to treat recruits. And he crossed paths with me about 6 months in, and he said, I've heard really good things about you, Sergeant Crouch. I understand you're one of the strong drill instructors everybody wants on their team. And I'm glad that I was surprised. And Gunny Brisbane was another one who said the same thing. And so it felt good to earn their respect.
Yeah,
but,
absolutely. Man, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's a good thing to like for them to come back and say that. That was really nice of them too, you know.
Yes, because they told it to my face during the final inspection. Staff Sergeant Trudeau, he was a 3rd Battalion drill instructor. He thought I was going to 3rd Battalion. He says, it pisses me off to no end to know that you're going to 3rd Battalion, and that's my battalion. You're not of the type of Marine that we want as drill instructors out there. I said, Staff Sergeant, he's a Staff Sergeant, believe it or not. Back then, I thought you had to be a gunny, but you could still be a Staff Sergeant. I said, Staff Sergeant Trudeau, I assure you, I will surprise you. And he never sought me out to give me a compliment. Who knows? But when I back up, when I was at receiving, I had recruits that, think they could request the DOR, drop on request. There ain't no quitting enlisted boot camp. We keep you till we don't want you. So I had this recruit who, it was like the third day in recruit training. He opens up my senior drill instructor office, just walks right in there in a crazy look attitude. He's a tall kid, maybe 6'1". And he says, I'm going crazy. And I grabbed him and I slammed him up against the freaking wall locker. Right. So I'm still gripping the front of his blouse. I said, don't you ever come in my freaking office again, whether I'm here or anybody else is here. You don't enter a drill instructor's office without going through the proper procedure. And then and only then, if they're interested in having you in their office, will they bring you in this office. Get the hell out of my office now. Try it again, pig. And so he comes out there, and I made him beat his hand to death on that concrete wall, beating it hard enough to make sure that I hear it louder, harder, louder. You're not loud enough, harder. And I get in here. It says, enter my office. What's your problem? Sir, this recruit's going crazy, sir. Define crazy. Sir, this recruit hasn't had a cigarette in 4 days or whatever it was, right? Right then, I would have given anything to be a smoker because I would have grabbed a cigarette,
lit up,
smoking it. Tell me more about this. And but I didn't have a cigarette to use at that time. So I did make a note.
That's got to be tough for smokers going through. I mean, that's not to mention just the stress of boot camp. But now I need that nicotine, and I don't have it. Yeah. So
I had. This is before we had 22. The idea that 22 veterans a day take their life through suicide and whatnot, and a different culture back then versus the culture today. Would I do it today? Definitely would not. But back then, different culture, different time. And I would tell the recruits with all sincerity, there's only 4 ways off Parris Island. Do your time as a recruit and graduate as a Marine. You have a lifetime pride and a title that never leaves you.
Mm-hmm.
A medical discharge. We find something wrong with you or you get injured while you're training. You leave.
Yeah.
Psychological discharge. For some reason, we discover you're nuts. And we don't want you. We can't trust you with a weapon. And the 4th way is in a body bag.
Yeah.
And so meanwhile, I was at the very end of my 7 months at receiving. I'm now going back to 1st Battalion Bravo Company.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, I was allowed to be the receiving drill instructor for a platoon in my series, but it could not be the one that I was going to take over.
Oh, okay.
I went ahead and was the receiving drill instructor for a different platoon. But did I give my full effort to give them an awesome platoon that I'm going to compete against? No. Because the person who had my platoon wasn't doing nothing for me, and he wasn't going back. He still had to do his time there. And so fast forward, we're now in probably the 2nd week of training.
Mm-hmm.
And no, it was the 4th week. So it was 4th week in training. And 4th week is when recruits who are on trial training could be recycled back to training day 1.
Okay.
So this is that day for this particular recruit, the one that was a smoker and went into my office to interrupt me, telling me that he needs a cigarette and he's going crazy. He was being recycled. Now, I gave a class on how to take your life when I was there. And because it's the same kind of stuff that I was told back in 1980.
Yeah.
And I told him, I said, you're all issued a black Skillcraft ink pen. You can unscrew it, remove the contents, screw it back together, place it inside your nostril till you feel the pain of pushing against a membrane. And then with complete commitment, drive the heel of your hand into that pen and it will puncture the membrane. It will go up to the front lobe of your brain and you'll have a frontal lobotomy. Your problems will be over. You won't know where you are. Number 2, I tried to get visuals that were very scary. I said, R2, You could try to stomp on a track to razor blade and take that flexible blade and try and cut yourself. But the problem is everyone seems to think these little lines in your wrist or blood veins. They're not. Those are called tendons and muscles. They allow your hand to expand and contract. Your veins that will cause you to bleed out are deep inside. You have to hit lengthways to find one and be lucky enough that it doesn't slip on you when you're trying to cut it. And then you have to pump yourself because that's going to be venous bleeding. And venous bleeding can take about 8 minutes. And arterial bleeding would take you anywhere from 40 seconds to 2 minutes. And you're done. I said, or you can jump off a building. If you want to be a jumper, go to the 3rd floor. Don't jump from the 2nd floor. Jump from the 3rd floor. And if ever you could assume the position of attention, now's the time. And you do a perfect dive. And if you're afraid that you don't have the courage, put your hands in your pockets and then jump in this, go straight down. You'll hit your head and it's over with. So I gave very graphic visuals. And again, I would never give that kind of a class today. And so this kid decided to be a jumper. I said, jump from, when you jump, you always jump over concrete. Don't jump over grass and bushes.
Yeah.
The bushes will gouge out eyeballs, rip out your nostril. They'll do that kind of stuff. Jump over concrete. He jumped over concrete. He followed instructions. He did not do all the instructions. He went from the 2nd floor instead of the 3rd. And at Parris Island, in those battalions, at each landing level, there's a handrail. You can stand and look over. And then there's a ledge that you're standing on. That concrete slab you're standing on extends out as a stoop to provide rain cover for the floor below.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And it sticks out about, I don't know, maybe 3 feet. And so he went over the edge and then he jumped. And at the last second, he reached back and grabbed. And what he did is it caused him to tumble, but his weight and his grip on that handrail was insufficient. And it caused him to slam his forehead into that overhang. And then he flipped again and he landed on the ground with his knee impacted, his right knee impacted, and his right elbow impacted. His right elbow impacted, it caused a compound fracture on the backside of the tricep.
Oh, geez.
He messed himself up. So even though he spent 4 weeks in boot camp receiving and forming, he was going back to training day 1. He was going to spend more time in boot camp at the hospital waiting for a discharge than he would have if he'd done his time and graduated as a Marine.
Yeah.
He was asked, why did he do this? He says, because my receiving drill instructor told me the only way off Parris Island was as a Marine, a medical discharge, a psychological discharge, or in a body bag. So now they're doing an investigation on me.
Oh, geez.
So they did the investigation. Nothing became of it. But I heard from the chain of command how angry the captain and the colonel were of having to hear all the time about this recruit. And I forgot what his name is now, who said that he did what his receiving drill instructor told him to do. I said, I highly encourage you to graduate as a Marine. It's the easiest of the ways to get out of here, and you won't have any regrets. But
wow, that's wild.
Yeah. And for our listeners out there, I do not recommend that class ever be given again. And but it was a different time, and that was the culture of the Corps at that time. So
times change.
So at recruit receiving, we had something unusual happen. The recruits show up. I didn't talk about a busload of old drill instructors going back to World War II in Korea and Vietnam, did I?
I don't think so.
Okay. So I've been a drill instructor there now, 5 months. I'd only been on deck for a few hours, and our days are long there. Like I said, the buses show up for receiving to drop off fresh meat between the hours of 2200, 10 p.m., and 0400, 4 a.m. And that's just the routine. Mm-hmm. It's probably 1600 in the afternoon. and a bus pulls up, a tour bus, chartered.
Mm-hmm.
And we all look at each other, about 3 or 4 of us. And this been a lot more than that because there's at least 4 drill instructors who didn't come with me. So let's say there's 8 of us.
Mm-hmm.
I said, anybody expecting a tour bus? I looked around. No. And they're looking at the schedule that's on the calendar. No. And off comes a Marine officer. Dress blue Delta. Dress blue trousers, dress shoes, short sleeve shirt, ribbons, and a barracks frame cover, white. He walks in. He says, Marines, I have a special request. That bus out here is giving a tour of Parris Island to a drill instructor reunion. And these drill instructors have been here, were drill instructors during World War II, Korea, Vietnam, and years in between.
Wow.
And they said, stop the damn bus, take us to receiving. And I started to take him here. It says, not here, receiving. And then they had to tell him that the receiving barracks no longer exist. It did. It was no longer receiving barracks.
Right.
Well, then take us to the new one. Took him to the new one. He says, get those drill instructors out here, tell them to get us off the bus and get us on the yellow footprints like they recruits. So when I heard that request, my first thought was, well, the last thing I want to be thought of is a pussy.
Yeah.
And, because that's what they're going to think if we're afraid to do this, because they are retired Marines or former Marines that were no longer on active duty, that were drill instructors and who were the legends before us. And we always want to thank the legends before us had it tougher or were more intense and more aggressive.
Mm-hmm.
I says, it'll be awkward, but I'll do it. I said, who's going out with me? I'll give the speech. And not a single one of them. I said, you got to be fucking kidding me. If I'm the only drill instructor that goes out there to get them off the bus, they're going to think today's Marine drill instructors are worthless pussies who won't do their freaking job, who are truly not intense and don't know how to dish it out. You got Marine drill instructors demanding to be treated like recruits and getting off that bus. We owe it to them to show them that we have filled their shoes completely.
Nice.
I says, I'm going out. I sure as hell hope to have some damn help. Well, 2 others helped me. One of them was Selby, Selby, slender, tall, black Marine. I would love to find him again. I've been trying for years. He would have been a drill instructor at Parris Island receiving from the fall of 97 to the spring of 98 time frame. I'm sorry, not 90s, 80, 87 to 88 time frame. But loved working with him. He was a great drill instructor. And I forgot who the other guy was. I says, I'll get him off the bus. You get him on the footprints. So I walked on the bus and I said, my name is Sergeant Crouch and I am your receiving drill instructor. When I give the command, you turds are going to get off my bus. You will take all that civilian trash and leave it behind. You're not bringing that to my Marine Corps. And I see there's a walker and some damn canes. You think you're good enough to stand on my yellow footprints? You will do so without artificial assistance. Get off my bus now, you nasty maggots. Get off my bus. And so they're getting off the bus and they're grinning. They're loving it, right? And but not all of them are moving quick. And, some of them are freaking old. And so I hear the other drill instructors getting engaged on them. And so now we got them all in the yellow footprints. And we're going around handing out some verbal ass chewings. And I see a freaking cane. I ripped it out of his freaking hand and I tossed it to the fucking grass by the sidewalk and says, what did I tell you? You leave that freaking civilian trash on my bus. You think you can stand on my yellow footprint? You do so without artificial assistance. And none of you will help him. And I went through and I found a couple others. I threw a second cane. There was a walker. I took the freaking walker and I threw his walker over there. And so he's loving it. That's what they wanted to hear and see. Now I'm chewing ass on somebody. I hear the click of a single lens reflex camera.
Yeah.
Someone behind me is going click, click, click. And I said, without turning my head, I says, that better be your pacemaker telling you to change the battery. Because if I see a camera, it's going to eat asphalt right now. And I turn around. And so the lens is about, I don't know, a foot from my face. And he snaps some more pictures. Loving it.
Oh, my God. That's too good.
I wonder how it turned out. I wonder how it turned out. So my dad, who was a Marine for 2 years, 56 to 58, when he came to visit me 1 year at drill instructor school, I got that same kind of a picture. I was waiting for him to turn his head, and he turned his head, and I snapped a picture, which would have been about identical the distance, just to see what that level of intensity was. The difference was Dad had a, what the fuck expression, and I had an intense yelling at him, telling him that his firstborn is not worthy of surviving. But
that is great.
Now, I finally joined the Drill Instructor Reunion, the East Coast Drill Instructor Association. Mm-hmm. In 1987, I think was the year that they formed it. I could be wrong, but that was the year that I was at receiving, and I got them off the bus. So if I got them off the bus, it was in the spring of the spring of 88 when they would have had the reunion. They usually had it around April timeframe. And I almost joined the organization, but I didn't. I just didn't have the time, right? Because you're a working drill instructor. And then I joined it a few years ago. So I go to a Parris Island East Coast Drill Instructor Reunion, and storytelling competition. So I tell that story I just told. I said, first of all, who went to the reunion in the spring of 88? And one hand went up. I said, hopefully you remember this story. And so I told the story. He was sitting at my damn table. His name is Hoover. And he was a drill instructor, before me. And he was on that bus when I got them all off the bus. How ironic that, decades later, I'm sitting at the same damn table. None of us look the same, let alone would we remember what each other even looked like. But
that's pretty cool, though. And he remembered it?
You did.
Yeah.
I said,
that's cool.
And I said, at the end of my story, I said, so tell me, Marine, the story I just told, is that how you remember it? He said, yes, it is. Nice. I didn't win the storytelling competition. They gave it to somebody else.
Oh, man.
But I will tell you what I did win. Let me grab something here. So at a different reunion I went to a couple years ago.
Yeah.
I went to only tell stories, right? I think I have a good cadence. I use the Marines hymn.
Yeah.
You ever heard someone call cadence with left and right, but only use the Marines hymn?
I have. Yeah. It's pretty cool.
It is. And so I have to always start it on the right foot. So you do it while they're already marching, and I'll start off hot oh ho 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 love hot oh ho low ho
yeah
hot oh ho 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 love hot oh ho low low and just keep going on. And that's so awesome. I use that cadence to slow down platoons that get out of, sometimes they start racing, they go faster and faster. Your cadence is speeding up accidentally. I would use that cadence and they would always slow down. I would use it on column movements because it kept them slowed down on a column movement, which can sometimes get away. So I didn't see too many people signed up for it. Probably only 12 or 13 drill instructors signed up for cadence. So I went ahead as a last minute thing, and I went ahead and signed up for it. And they said, "Hey,
nice,
yeah, first place, cadence calling, 2025." Awesome. Yep. Yeah. Former drill instructors. So they put the former drill instructors and the drill instructors active were in two separate competitions.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah, it was pretty good. And I, of course, had told the president of the East Coast Drill Instructor Association, says, "Hey, I'm bringing two books of mine, drill instructor stories from 1957 to 1990, which is a book I published called The Pressure Cooker, Forging Naval Officers Through Marine Leadership." And the stories were written by the officers who went through the program from 1957 to 1990. Now, the program was longer than that, but that was the story range that I received. So after I got done and walked off stage, he says, isn't it kind of awkward to give yourself a book? Because he knew that I was going to win the competition, because I was one of the last people, because I was last to be, like second to last to be on the list.
Yeah.
And of course, hands down, they all heard it. So I just wonder if any of those active duty drill instructors had the courage to do it, because if you're going to do something like the Marines hymn, you better not screw it up.
That's right. You got to bring it. Yeah.
Yep. And I've had a couple of drill instructors I thought could do it. The Staff Sergeant Raymond Eiffel, who I taught it to him on his second tour. And I don't know if he ever actually did it for final drill or initial drill. But I did it at all of my drill competitions at Pensacola when I was at OCS, Navy OCS. So nice. I go back to the fleet. I'm a aviation mechanic again after my first tour. And so I did 2 years in the fleet, and I was missing it bad. So my previous wife, I didn't realize she was codependent. That's something I learned about many years later. And so when I was an active aviation Marine, well, you're always deploying. You have unit deployments. You go away for 6 months to a year. I was always gone for 6 months, then come back for 12 months to 18 months stateside. And during that time, you're still going away on smaller deployments. They're just a few weeks at a time. Right. And then you're back. And then you eventually go back overseas again. Or you could be a drill instructor and you're just never home. Every third night you sleep in the squad bay in your DI office. And the other 2 nights you're at home. And but you're really not at home, because when you go home, the kids are going to bed. And when you get up, everyone's still in bed. And it's just a lonely life. And it's 7 days a week. And so my wife was telling me how much that she wished I was back on the drill field, because at least when I was on the drill field, I was home, even though I wasn't really home. She knew my presence was somehow here versus me being overseas. Now, she said that when she was longing for me at month number 4 or 5 of being on a unit deployment. So boom, man, to me, that was permission. I mean, I can get them orders right away. And I got me orders to go to drill field for a second tour at the end of 2 years in the fleet. And so I told her my excitement that, hey, I'm going to the drill instructor. We're going back to Paris Island. Won't be deploying overseas anymore. And it'll be different this time. I'll be a staff sergeant, and I'll be a senior drill instructor or a series gunnery sergeant. So it's a much better quality of life. And truth be told, it did not end up being that way. Probably because of my enthusiasm for the job. So I returned to DI school. Now, the rule was East Coast, West Coast, it don't matter. You want to come back as a drill instructor for a second or a third tour, you better bring your A game. You are going to be treated like an active duty drill instructor. You can use the front door privilege. The instructors at the school don't ostracize you. You're looked at as a peer. But you better perform and bring your A game, because all you're going to do for 2 weeks is take academic tests and physical tests all day long.
Oh, wow.
So, that's right. You're not a second tour drill instructor.
No, I only did one. Yeah.
So you show up, you go to PT with the schoolhouse, and then after PT, you're not standing in the inspections, but you're wearing your uniform, and you're told that you're taking the Marine Corps history exam this afternoon. And then tomorrow morning, you're going to do a PFT. And then in the afternoon, you're going to take whatever. So all you did was do 2 or 3 tested events. And you do the whole course schedule in a 2-week period, compressed.
Wow.
If you fail, automatically you get put in as a first-year student in DI school. So now you're going to live the hell life of a DI school student for the remainder of your time there.
Wow.
So that's pressure. So I PT'd my ass off for about a year when I was 26, 25, preparing for DI school, not knowing what to expect other than run a 3-mile run in boots in 24 minutes or less, and or 22 minutes, I can't remember. And sit-ups and pull-ups and whatever the other benchmark standards were, and it better be first class. And so I PT'd, so I showed up in tip-top shape. Second tour, I'm 30 years old, and like Father Time in 4 years has already caught up with me. And so I started a year and a half getting ready, a year and 3 months, a year and a half getting ready physically for DI school. Yeah. And again, I'm aviation. So aviation, typically, if you're at the squadron, you don't do organized PT. You PT on your own if you're interested, but you better pass 2 physical fitness tests a year. And that's the only thing we did that was organized. And so I took it serious and definitely wanted to pass the school. And I'm glad I worked as hard as I did physically. I was in great shape. And so one day, it's day one, we check in. So now they put us in a BOQ, a bachelor quarters, like a traditional barracks, 2-man rooms, and which is really nice compared to what we had when I was there, which is a World War II barracks that was open squad bay. And so I got a wall locker, a head facility, and a rack. I can stay there if I want, or I can go sleep with my family at home. I stayed at home every single night, but I just used it for changing clothes and taking showers.
Okay.
And, so as I'm setting up and squaring away my wall locker, my roommate, I'll leave the name out of it this time. So it's just called Schmuckatelli. That's a famous name in the Marine Corps for a turd Marine. And so Sergeant Schmuckatelli. He's a laid-back fleet character, fleet being, coming from the fleet Marine Force. And he doesn't take DI school serious. He volunteered for it, but he seems to have all the knowledge that he needs to know.
Right.
They can't inspect you until they've taught you. I said, I'm telling you right now, I remember the hell that we went through and how stressful it was when they did our wall locker inspection in the first week. I said, you're going to want to square your wall locker away and get it looking like it's ready for junk on the bunk inspection. For those who don't know junk on the bunk, that means there's strict requirements that everything be facing a certain way, all the buttons buttoned, properly pressed, neatly organized. It looks perfect. And so I get my wall locker looking perfect. He's going to be a turd Marine until he's taught, and then he can be inspected.
So I bet that doesn't go over well.
No, it doesn't. So we had to check in before Monday. So it was a Sunday check-in. Yeah. And so Monday, I'm marching to school. I know not to show up 15, 20 minutes early. I remember that as
Yeah.
So as I'm walking up to DI school, in fact, I didn't walk. I drove my car because, course challengers, students, they can drive their vehicles and park at a certain location, just walk right on over. So I noticed a big U-Haul trailer parked there where the Drill Instructor School First Sergeant parking space was. I thought, wow, just an 8-foot U-Haul trailer attached to an SUV, and it's parked in it. I thought, it just caught my attention. It looked odd. So we're all sitting in the classroom now, waiting for the festivities to begin. First Sergeant walks out on stage. Who in the fuck brought a U-Haul trailer to school? My roommate. Sergeant Schmuckatelli, sir. And you parked in my goddamn spot? Come here. And took him outside, reamed his ass, told him to get that fucking U-Haul trailer out of the DI school parking lot. And so his life is starting off on the wrong foot. And I'm thinking, why did I have to get stuck with this turd?
Oh, man, that's priceless.
The next morning, Tuesday, is the first morning of PT, physical training. So it was the fall time of year because it was class 1-90. So it's October, sun comes up late and sun goes down early. So it was just at the break of dawn, pretty damn dark still. And so I herded up in a formation with the rest of the students and up against the barracks of the bricks of the DI school. And then we hear the command, DI school instructor gets on the table, the PT table, 8-foot square, He says, when I get the command, fall in, you fall in a box formation around my table. Fall in! So I've been smelling horrible dog shit that I must have stepped in this whole time. So the whole time I didn't want to raise my foot and look. I didn't want to be moving around. Got to set the example as a course challenger, right?
Yeah.
We're all supposed to be locked up in position of attention. So when we go, I have to go a distance of about 100 yards. I'm dragging and skipping and doing everything I can to get this dog shit off my foot. Now, I never saw it, but I felt that was the only thing it could be. And I get around the table. It's even worse. I thought, fuck me. And I can't believe I smell like dog shit. And so we're doing exercises. This 13 instructors at DI school are walking around and making corrections and yelling at students because they're weak, showing up unprepared. Yeah. And now we're on our backs and we're doing 6 and 90, 6 and 90, 6 inches off the deck, leg lift, and 90 degrees to the sky and back down to 6 inches. And when it's at a 90 feet toward the sky, I hear, and I thought they were talking to me. I was simply just, looking straight up. They were talking to Sergeant Smuckatelli beside me. He had explosive diarrhea and shit himself before the formation even started to break and form up on the table. He shit himself, and then he continued to shit himself. And that's why it got worse and worse, is because he shit himself. My shoes were clean. I didn't step in dog crap. But my roommate hit himself. And all I could think about is, what kind of Marine or NCO is so afraid of being yelled at that they wouldn't break ranks to go do what they got to do to save their dignity?
Yeah.
I would have bolted. I would have dropped trousers and right there. I mean, if I couldn't make it any further, I'm not shitting myself. But he did. Wow. And so all of a sudden, there's like 3 instructors on his ass for being undisciplined and crapping himself without exiting to make an emergency head call. I thought, does it get any worse? And
that's insane. Oh my God. I could not. No.
There's nobody I fear that much that I'm going to do that.
Yeah.
Now, if it's something like, I think I'm going to pass gas because I wanted to let go, and I go, oh my God, I had no idea that was going to happen. That's quite different.
Yeah.
But this here was simply afraid, intimidated, crapped himself instead of breaking ranks and going in to make a head call.
Yeah. Accidental discharges happen.
Yes. So one day there's me and 2 other course challengers. I'm still a sergeant. I'm going to be promoted soon to staff sergeant. I've been selected. I'm a couple of weeks out. And there's a staff sergeant and a gunner sergeant. And the 3 of us are walking down the street like we owned it in the roadway. And we get in front of DI school, probably 75 yards away, maybe 100 yards from the front door. We hear the noise of the door popping open. And the school first sergeant yelling, "Stop!" He puts his freaking hand out like a stop sign. So we stop and we look around to see if he was talking to us. Yeah, I'm talking to you 3 idiots. And so we're looking at each other like, what are we doing wrong? He says, how about I'm fucking yourself? Right? So now we look like the 3 stooges out there. We're looking at each other, looking at ourselves, looking at each other. We can't figure out what's wrong. He says, stop. He said, you're not in the right rank order. Senior rank to the far right, junior rank to the far left. So now we get in our proper positions, the 3 stooges, and go ahead and stay in step and march our way. I thought, man, they take this shit serious, don't they?
Oh my God. I had a master gunny when I was a gunnery sergeant, and he would always I would always get on his left side and we'd be walking on a sidewalk. He would purposely move toward me and push me off into the grass or run me into things. He was constantly doing that because he knew that I'm going to be on your left side, but he was always messing with me.
So you can't trust recruits no matter how long they've been there. They're going to screw something up.
Yeah.
So I grabbed who I thought would be a smart recruits, 2 of my squad leaders, and we're all at BWT, Basic Warrior Training, and I'm thirsty, man. I'm parched, and drill instructors didn't carry canteens on them like they did at San Diego. Did you carry a canteen when you're at San Diego?
Not a canteen. We'd have a Camelback if we were PTing.
Yeah, it was similar to a Camelback, but it was that some body harness thing that was like a.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah. We did that for a while. Yeah.
But I never saw that other than in photographs of San Diego. But drill instructors at Parris Island during my tenure, during those 2 tours, we never had water present with us. And so we just simply go to the PT van, and there's 2 5-gallon jugs filled with ice and water and sheets for heat casualty.
Mm-hmm.
And the third one was the one for drinking. And the drill instructors would drink from it. I said to the squad leaders, go to the emergency van, and there's 3 water coolers. Take the one without ice and with no sheet, and just the one that's water only with some ice in it. So they came back. I'm drinking this water. It tastes freaking putrid. And I spit it out because I had them hold it up so I could get a drink. I just put it down. Take the cap off. I looked down there, and here's a freaking sheet that was used on the heat casualty. All his body sweat was mixed in with that freaking water.
Oh, my God.
I said, what did I fucking tell you? Sir, to grab the one that didn't have sheet, but, sir, this recruit didn't see the white sheet and the white background. I said, you're drinking copious amounts of water now, boy. I said, get it up. Start drinking. I made them 2 pigs drink that nasty, filthy water that was fed to me.
Oh, man. That's gross.
So at this particular, in fact, this platoon that this happened was platoon 1037. And I'm going to meet with about 10 of them next month, Thursday, May 14, Friday the 15th, and the 16th, our 35th year anniversary.
Wow.
So they reached out, want to get together as a reunion. There'll be more coming, I'm sure, but that generation who was using social media, email, none of that stuff. In 1991, we were not.
Right.
And if you were enlisted, that's for damn sure. You didn't have some high-powered executive job on Wall Street.
Yeah.
So we're going to have a good get-together. And one thing I did is I had the ID tags made for the platoon. So it says POT 1037. Mm-hmm. And below it is Staff Sergeant Crouch, Staff Sergeant Aguilar, Sergeant Gardner, and Sergeant Maluski. So I had one punched out for each one of the those coming to the reunion with a few extras to mail those who couldn't come. So I'm going to tell them, I said, y'all seen the movie Heartbreak Ridge, right? Of course, Marines have seen Heartbreak Ridge. And what was the one thing about uniformity, right? He was always wearing he had the right T-shirt on, but they didn't have the right T-shirt. So they all had to go run PT in bare chest and do exercises in bare chest and whatnot. So I plan to tell them, says, who has their ID tags on them? I want to see it now. Show me proof of life. I'm pretty sure none of them have their ID tags. That's been my experience.
Yeah.
And even if there is one that has it, says, well, we're not all the same, are we? And I said, I'm going to hand them these little bags. And in there, I says, put it on. I said, this is the platoon that I'm loyal to. I'm loyal to all my platoons. And I have tags made for each one of us out here. It says platoon 1037 and who the drill instructor team is that trained you.
That's cool.
Keep us close to your heart. And so I'm going to give that to them.
That's cool.
So Sergeant Staff Sergeant Aguilar, I'm the senior drill instructor, and he's one of my assistant drill instructors. He had the duty that night at BWT, Basic Warrior Training. It had been raining on and off all day. Camouflage uniform is wet. And So he gets in his tent after he puts the recruits into the rack. There's a bonfire, as always is a bonfire for the camp. It's just part of the experience, the mystique. You have a damn bonfire. You stand around, smell the smoke, feel the heat. And so the fire watch, security watch, he would walk up and down, make sure everyone stayed in their damn hooches and stuff. And so he says, fire watch. Fire watch comes running up to him. He says, take this wet uniform, get a good branch, dry them. I want them folded up and put back inside my tent tonight. So it's easy mission to accomplish, right?
Yeah.
Next morning, I come in and I see Sergeant Alvarez look like he was on Iwo Jima and was hit with a flamethrower. Now, a lot of people don't know that the camouflage uniform is designed to char. So it doesn't maintain the heat on the body, that it quickly chars and flakes away, exposing what's underneath the uniform. So there's all these patches of skin that I can see, hairy skin underneath his trousers and his blouse. With, of course, his blouse, he had a T-shirt on. And he looked like he got hit with a flamethrower. I says, what in the fuck happened to you? He says, oh, I've been torturing him for the last hour. I'm not done with him. I said, who? And it's probably the scribe named Baker. I don't know, but possibly Baker. I'll assume it was Baker. Baker deserves this reputation. So Baker didn't get a strong branch. He got one that was dry rot. And so the weight of that wet uniform snapped it when he was holding it over the fire. Now it fell into this huge bonfire, and he's trying to get in there without getting burned to get it out. And so he finally got something to scoop it out and then step on it.
Oh my!
And then he has to figure out how to get the damn thing dried. And then he got, the trousers, two. They both fell because he had a stick for each. And
oh my gosh, that's pretty good. Wow. Oh geez.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun being a drill instructor.
Yeah, I mean, you did it a long time. I mean, two tours at Paris Island, and then one doing the officer training too. So I mean, it's a long time as a drill instructor.
It is. And I had a recruit named Bass. Now, I forgot this little factoid until yesterday. Bass graduated platoon 1037. Now, we're not in touch with Bass, but he was in that platoon. And one of my recruits said, it is strange that Cox and Bass were recycled from your earlier platoon and ended up in your new platoon, ours. So maybe it was medical rehabilitation platoon, maybe it was PCP. For Bass, probably PCP. He was a big old boy. And so we were doing a run. The commanding general was present.
Okay.
And we were at Page Field, which is an abandoned airway at Paris Island, where we did field training. So we're going to do a combat conditioning run. And so it's 3 miles, pass or fail. Mm-hmm. There is no time limit other than you have to beat this time to pass or you fail. So we're going to run it slow as a formation, unit integrity. And in 28 to 32 minutes was when you're expected to finish it. So I was going to bring him in probably around 30 minutes. And recruit Bass was a habitual run drop. And every drill instructor that I know, every Marine that I know, feels that run drops are worthless human beings. They don't deserve the dignity of a bullet. They should be stabbed to death and left to bleed out, because you should not expend good, valuable ammunition on a run drop.
Oh, my God. That's good. Yeah. That's good.
So I said, get up here, Bass, before we start the run. I'm the senior drill instructor. I got the left side. I'm on the right in front of the guide. The guide is to my right, so I'm to the left of the guide. Yeah. And it's me at third squad. Second squad is Bass, and first squad is another drill instructor. And then we have a drill instructor called Cadence. I says, Bass, I'm going to beat the fuck out of you this entire 3 miles. You will not be a run drop. I said, the commanding general, regimental commanding officer, all the brass is here today. You better not be a run drop as we cross this damn finish line. So we're running. And we don't even make it a half mile. He starts to drop back. I hit him with my freaking elbow. So about every fourth time my left foot hits the deck, I'm elbowing his ass forward. And the other drill instructor is doing the same thing. So between steps, we're propelling him with our elbows in the back. And I'm glad that he wore a blouse and a T-shirt all the time, because I'm sure it was all beat to hell with bruises. And yes, a black man can bruise. And he may have been black, but I'm sure you could see those bruises.
Yeah, I'm sure,
now I get to see the brass up there, and they're at the finish line waiting to see this series, that's running the combat conditioning course, cross with no run drops. And that was important.
Yeah.
That we don't have any damn run drops. So all of a sudden I stop. I'd have to say 150 yards to 200 yards from the finish line. I stopped hitting him with my elbow. So I said, the other drill instructor says, stop hitting him, or something like that. Somehow I said to the other drill instructor, stop. All of a sudden, he starts feeling himself become a run drop, and he shouts, "Sir, would the senior drill instructor resume hitting this recruit, sir?"
Oh, my God.
I'm going to beat the fuck out of you when we get back. I can't believe you just fucking said that. You're going to finish this run on your own, boy. I'm not going to help you. And God help you if you're a fucking run drop, because I'm already going to bury your ass. And I've never hit, punch, slap, choked a recruit in my life. I don't consider that hitting. I was encouraging him to keep moving forward. And he seemed to like it because he asked me to resume it. I'm positive everybody heard what was just said. And so as we crossed that line, I sheepishly tried to look over and see what the body language and facial expressions were from the chain of command. I thought, well, I'll probably get relieved before the day is out. Never heard nothing about it. And
that is funny.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Horrible.
Your drill instructor like to continue hitting me.
So I have a story from my book that's to be called "The Night I Bond with the Boys." So as a senior drill instructor, you're supposed to play an approachable father. Were you a senior? I don't remember.
Yeah, I was.
Okay. So some people call it, a loyalty speech. And if you're ever caught giving a loyalty speech, that's a non-judicial punishment, court-martial offense, depending on how they want to do it. I've never given one. In fact, as a senior drill instructor, I really wasn't any different than the drill instructors. I left my blinds all the way up. I left my door open the entire time from forming day one and throughout first phase. I want them recruits to know that I approve of the chaos that they are experiencing.
Yeah.
Where typically what happens is the senior drill instructor isolates himself. So if he ever does come out there, he'll try and stop the drill instructors. Get in my office. He'll come out there and he'll be nice to them. So they go, oh, he's the nice guy. Good cop, bad cop.
Yeah.
I never played that. I was just as evil as the drill instructors. I had the capacity to be compassionate and empathy, but could be just as setting the example on evilness. And so tonight was the night. It's probably, I don't know, training day 7. And a lot of senior drill instructors would tell me in this conversation right now, "You waited till then to give a loyalty speech?" I said, "Yeah." We rolled the dice. So I gave a motivating pump experience that they could feel that, hey, somebody cares about us here and whatnot. And gave us a good moment of levity and whatnot. So, and I told the drill instructors after the evening, do not, when I take them to chow, you go home, see your families. I don't want to see you until after morning breakfast. I'll take them to breakfast myself. And so the drill instructors are happy. They got to see their family for once. Meanwhile, I put them on senior drill instructor time. We never called it free time. Free time might give them the idea that it's their time to do what they want. I called it senior drill instructor time. Yeah. And so you're limited on what you can do. Shine your brass, shine your boots, get your uniform squared away, Irish pennants, study your knowledge, practice close order drill. You can read letters, write letters, and that's basically it. And We're going to do it all in 60 minutes or less. Actually, 60 minutes because I have to give them their full 60 minutes. So.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah.
And everything's done by the numbers. So I walked out there and said, stripped them by the numbers. Now they're naked. They got their towel around their waist, tied in their shower shoes, shower shaving kit in their right hand, like their right shoulder arms. And I always alternated, however I wanted. So both sides of the squad bay were prepared to march forward. And I'd say, starboard side, shower up, port side, shine them up. And they'd repeat the command, aye, aye, sir. Ready, move. And they all stomp their left foot, kill. And so then they resume what it was you're told to do. And it was the side that was marching to the head when I said, ready, move. And they go, kill. And then I'd say, march. And for those who are going to the head, would then take 2 steps forward, halt, face, and march forward to cadence all the way into the head to shower and shave and do whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So they're in. I turn around, walk into my office. I'm doing documentation that has to occur. All of a sudden, probably 4 minutes later, there's a little. It should have been.
Yeah.
But it was little taps. I look up at that. I can't believe it. First night in my life, I'm being somewhat nice, and they're testing my patience by love tapping my damn hatch. Why you love tapping my hatch? Hit it hard, boy. I make you go through that a few times. What is it? He looks at me. He looks over there out in the quarterdeck. He looks at me. I said, freak, what the hell is it? What is it you want that you interrupted me with these love taps to then have me look at you, look at the quarterdeck, and look back at me? What is it? And he starts pointing. Speak! Shit, sir! And then time stopped. And it was a stressful moment. And so that's where that slow motion effect happens. When you see a person have an impact with a car and they go tumble and you see frame by frame because your brain said, this is traumatic. Pay attention.
Yeah.
We're now doing 1,000 frames per second, not 30. And so you can see that level of detail. Mm-hmm. You have tunnel vision. That's what you see. Yeah. And all I can see is him and trying to look past him. And I see something on the ground. I get up, and the closer I get, the closer I realize one of my idiots in the platoon, it had to have been one of the last two because it would have been stepped in, dropped a big ass turd on the quarterdeck. So the night that we're going to bond with the boys is being turned into a nightmare on Elm Street. And
oh my gosh.
So now all I can think about is court-martial event. So I go in the head and I said, first of all, I said, who saw this? Nobody saw a thing. You stand guard. Nobody steps in it. I go inside the head. I said, rush you turds, get on your goddamn feet now. I go in the head. I get their attention. 0. Freeze, recruit, freeze. Their proper reply. If they were falling, they should stop in mid-motion and not impact the deck because I said freeze.
That's right.
And I said, when I give the command, you would turn off the water. You will not dry yourself off. You will take that towel and you'll hold that towel by 2 fingertips on each hand. You'll hold that over your head as though you're surrendering. And you will walk out with your shower shoes, dripping water, and you will go back to your place on line. So I'm watching, right? Well, you know how recruits are. The moment they think they have a moment, they're going to do something. So recruit Patel, Patel, and another recruit, who cares what his name was? I always thought it was Patel for the rest of my life. Even today, I still think it's Patel. And that's why I said his name. So until he calls me and tells me otherwise, it's him. And so I'm going down, I'm looking at their towels. They're standing naked and look at the evidence.
In the towel, okay.
Of a brown smear on a green towel. Evidence for a poop that would have hit it, marked it on its way down.
Yeah.
Because it's wrapped around tight around their waist while they're walking.
Uh-huh.
And so I get to the last 2 recruits on that side, and they both have wet towels, which tells me one's complicit with the other. One of them thought he would create doubt. And so they both got their towels wet.
Yeah,
at the same spot, okay. Right? I said, I think I put that whole side on sleep deprivation, which is a violation of the SOP, but 2 hours fire watch, and then you capture another 2 hours later on. And I doubled up the fire watch, so there'd be 2 in the squad bay, 2 in the head at all times.
Yeah.
And it all came from that side of the squad bay until we could find this out. I said, am I going to have to, who shit on my damn quarterdeck? It can only get worse from here. No one stepped forward.
Oh my God.
I said, let me guess. Someone should pick it up and play past the turd and see if we identify it. And I thought to myself, that's not a good idea, Crouch, because that would be a court martial. And so I didn't.
It would have been funny, though.
Yes. And but I had those 2 turds I suspected of doing it, getting up there and cleaning my damn quarterdeck. And but in the big picture, I have no proof. It's just something I thought about decades ago. The term shit, S-H-I-T, may have come from stripped, healthy ingredients totally. It's processed food that's been stripped of all healthy ingredients totally. And what you have left is shit. So that may be true or not. I may have lucked out in coming up with an acronym that works. But I thought about that one day when a captain on the flight line doing FOD walk, which is when all the Marines get shoulder to shoulder and they walk the flight line where the airplanes are, looking for anything that's on the ground that doesn't belong on the ground.
Oh, yeah.
Which is all loose pebbles, all loose rocks, anything has to be picked up. And there's coyote shit or whatever. And he just picked it up and threw it over the blast fence. And I thought, well, he must have been from a farm where they're pretty used to doing that, slinging cow patties. He says, and he said, I never forgot. He says, it's just processed food, Marines. There's nothing been added to it. And
just processed food.
So
he's not wrong. Not wrong. Yeah.
So,
thanks again for coming on and sharing these stories and sharing about your book as well. So that's a good deal. But yeah, with this, to all the listeners out there, if you're struggling, need help, anything like that, don't forget the VA does have some good resources. You can dial 988, press option 1. You can always text 838-255 or go to veteranscrisisline.net, click on that chat icon. Any of those options will put you in contact with somebody that can help you out. But remember, one veteran life loss is one too many. I care about you. I know John cares about you. The whole veteran community cares about you. So please reach out for help. And if you're out there, you're not struggling, reach out to the buddies you served with. Ask them how they're doing. And if they need that helping hand, please give it to them. All right, one last time, John, thank you. Appreciate it. To everybody out there, stay motivated. Change your socks.
No more 22. On to the journey and finish the fight.